How to get a man going crazy for you. Let's talk about the main goal. It's momentum. Forward momentum for your relationship. You want it. And you want it now. Believe me, I understand. That's what I want for you too. But I don't want you to break your neck. And that's what happens when you go from 0 to 60 in an instant. Things break. Now, I'm not about to bore you with a story about the tortoise and the hare. But I do want to remind you of something you may have forgotten. A basic truth about life you learned in kindergarten. People don't like to feel manipulated. My mother used to push me to be more assertive and outgoing. I remember when she was a substitute teacher one day when I was in 8th grade. She stopped by the cafeteria during lunch hour. And to my horror, she chastised me for sitting alone at a table by myself. I was happily munching the sandwich from my brown paper sack, waiting for a friend to make it through the paid lunch line. But to her, that was no excuse. "Why don't you join those kids over there? There's still room for your friend to join you." Right. Like I was going to pick up my lunch and walk over to the table where my mother had just pointed. I might as well walk up and say, "Hey guys. Anyone want to be my friend?" You can probably imagine my response. I dug in my heels. Tried to ignore her. Tried to fake a chuckle as if she had just referenced some sort of inside joke. But no. She didn't give up that easily. She took my hesitation as a sign that I needed more reasons, more cajoling. What would have worked better? How do you get a teenage boy to come out of his shell? She would have more success if she kept the end goal to herself. That way I wouldn't resist. She should have invited me to take one tiny step at a time, and let me discover a new, assertive identity on my own. In other words, she needed to start smaller. That's the 1% rule in a nutshell. Start small. Try to improve something by just 1%. It sounds like so little. And because of that, these small changes barely feel like changes at all. But if you're trying to get someone else to change, that's a good thing. Start small. Let momentum build so it does the work. Get someone to take action, and something strange happens. They observe their own actions and conclude it was a good way to go. What I'm referring to here is a unique finding from the field of social psychology experiments. Humans often look at their own actions to decide what they believe. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? But it's a remarkable truth about how all people are wired. For example, my mother could have made one small request. "Hey, while you wait for your friend to come over, is there anyone in here you could introduce me to real quick? It would be fun to meet one of the people I hear you talking about at home." If she can get me to take action, I start to see myself differently. I see myself as someone who introduces people, connects others, and roams the cafeteria to make social connections. It's just one tiny step, but my own actions change how I perceive myself. It works the same way in relationships. Get him to take one small step. Something that would be very hard to object to. Like helping you move a heavy box, or giving his opinion on a decision you're considering. Then just improve on this foundation 1% at a time. Momentum doesn't happen with a sudden burst of effort. It happens when you start small and build on that momentum as it picks up speed. So we're talking about momentum as it applies to your romantic life. How do you use the 1% rule to build momentum in your relationship right now? Well, let me ask you. Can you imagine one tiny step? One tiny action you could invite him to take? One action that someone would only do if they liked you or wanted to spend more time with you? Start there. See what happens. Build momentum.